Hi, here is Liprandi, and today we're gonna talk about Demolition Man, a line of action figures made by Mattel in 1993 and based upon the movie with the same title. But first, please help us remembering all those fabulous toys from the past and subscribe to our channel. Despite having become famous in the 1970s for a beautiful, deep independent movie titled Rocky, which he wrote himself, Sylvester Stallone reached fame as one of the biggest action movie stars in Hollywood in the 1980s, competing for this title against Arnold Schwarzenegger. In the first half of the 1990s, Stallone was living the last part of his career as such. In 1993, he starred in a movie called Demolition Man, a huge, expensive production in which a cop, tough guy from our days or from the 1990s, called John Spartan, who is well known for the amount of destruction he can cause while doing his job, fails in the attempt of letting free people who are held hostages by his criminal arch-nemesis Simon Phoenix, played by Wesley Snipes. As a punishment, both of them, Spartan and Phoenix, get hibernated. Many years later, in 2032, Phoenix get dehibernated on parole. But the new soft society based upon political correctness is unable to deal with Phoenix's ruthless crimes. Therefore, Spartan gets dehibernated as well in order to hunt Phoenix down. Now, to be honest, we don't have any sort of affection or nostalgia for this movie, which was just one more pointless action movie from the 90s. Just a series of uninspired comedic gags about a new society where no one is allowed to swear or to say anything that might be offensive to someone. And a bunch of boring action scenes and obvious punchlines. But don't get me wrong, it was a bad movie, but it was as it was supposed to be. It wasn't unintentionally silly like many DCU movies, for example, and its campy tone was totally intentional. Just like every other action movie from the 1980s and 1990s, Demolition Man also got its line of action figures, and this one was made by Mattel. Oddly enough, the main competitor against this movie in theaters was Last Action Hero starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, which also got action figures made by Mattel. And the toy company did some very poor choices on these action figures, but that car back there is a gem. Mattel made 8 action figures for Demolition Man, recycled for the most part from previous toy lines, 2 vehicles, one of which was the old Bola Jet from the New Adventures of He-Man, this time named Bola Jet again, and 1 role-playing gun. This is Kick-Fighting John Spartan. Before going any further, we will notice that our Kick-Fighting John Spartan is just a repaint of Nocturna from the New Adventures of He-Man with a brand new head. And this head is not well sculpted, the overall shape of the head is not right, but somehow they managed to get a brilliant likeness of Sylvester Stallone. Well then, just like Nocturna, our Spartan can move the head from side to side, move the arms forwards and backwards. We have somehow ball-jointed hips, but this is where the gimmick comes into play, and we can bend his knees. And just like it was for the action figures in the New Adventures of He-Man toy line, the peg in the knee articulation for these figures is still too thin and fragile. We still have Nocturna's kicking action. There is a gear between the hips, so when you lift one leg, the other one comes up along. And we can still move them forwards, but they will move together. Kick-Fighting John Spartan comes with an arsenal of black plastic bits. We have an axe and several guns. And all of his weapons have this oddly shaped handle. Part of it is round in section so that it can be held by the figure's hands, which have round holes in this way, while the other part of the handle is square in section so that it can be held by the newly sculpted action figures from this line, which had square holes in their hands, just like figures from the Last Action Hero toy line. Only 3 out of 8 action figures from this line did not come from the New Adventures of He-Man. In fact, our Blast Attack Simon Phoenix is nothing more than a repaint of Visor with a new head and without the spring-loaded action at the waist. The likeness is not as good as on Sylvester Stallone, but we can see that they tried to get Wesley Snipes' face. We can rotate his head from side to side, move the arms forwards and backwards. We now have just a normal articulation at the waist, ball-jointed hips, and we can bend the knees, but again, the pegs in these articulations are too thin. The figure comes with a sort of an armor that you can slide over the chest. It's made in hard plastic and it resembles somehow the look of the futuristic costumes from the movie. He also comes with a bow, which is recycled from the old Nocturnas, and we have a machine gun water blaster which pegs into a hole in the figure's back. So to be fair, this mold is brand new because Visor didn't have such hole. It was just cheaply obtained from the old one. The figure is then supposed to hold on the handle, and when you squeeze the back rubbery part, it shoots water. Now clearly these are not interesting action figures, and the movie wasn't either. But in the movie, Stallone's character drives a beautiful muscle car, a 1970 Oldsmobile 442, and Mattel made a beautiful toy out of it, and that's the reason why we wanted something from this line. This is the original box it came in. I like the colors, and here's a picture of the toy prototype. Even though they didn't use the name Oldsmobile here on the front of the box, this was a licensed Oldsmobile toy, and we can read it on the back of the box. They have also removed the roof, making it a convertible. A picture of the action features on the side, and on the back we have a more detailed look at the toy car and a lineup of what was available in this toy line. And here we have the Fast Blast 442, a beautiful toy car. It measures 34 centimeters in length, which is over 1 foot. It is very heavy, made in very good materials, red plastic. We don't have rubbery wheels, sadly, but it rolls really nicely. We have gray metallic plastic for the front part, black tires and painted silver wheels. We have a black stripe painted over the car for all its length. We have red painted back lights and a few stickers you have to apply for the license plate here on the back, and also for this red mark on the front and for these black decorations on the hood. The sculpt on this car is excellent, and it is also well proportioned with the figures, so they fit inside quite nicely. We also get useful seat belts for both seats. They are made in a soft rubber. Leathery texture for the interiors, transparent windshield. This car is a marvel. The car has got several action features. In fact, it explodes on impact. There is a button here on the front bumper. When you push it, the motor blasts away, pushing away the hood as well. It is just a nice use of a common spring-loaded cannon, but we really like it. We can also open the trunk, and inside we are storing a giant weapon with its 4 missiles. There is a place for this giant rotating cannon right next to the passenger's seat. Load the cannon with its 4 missiles, and we can fire them in sequence by rotating this knob. It is a common misconception that Mattel reused molds made for the car from the Last Action Hero movie, but actually the two toy cars are almost completely different. The only parts they have in common are seats and seat belts. The hoods have different shapes, different front lights, different windshields, different wheels and different bodies in general, and also the action features are not the same. What we have here is 2 beautiful muscle cars made for action figures in the same scale by the same company in the same year. So this is it. We don't think there is much more worth saying about this toy line or about the movie, but the car is excellent. It is a masterpiece, so fun, so beautiful, and we just wanted a couple of action figures to go with it. These toys are not really easy to find these days. No one is looking for the action figures, but the car seems to be much more requested. And you won't find one outside of the United States. So this was a quite obscure toy line. Some of you might have nostalgia for the old movie. Overall, fun toys, beautiful car. Again, we are really happy to have it in our collection. Please let us know if you liked this video, clicking here on the like button, and subscribing to our channel. You will find a lot of beautiful vintage toys. And also let us know what you think in the comments below or on Facebook, Gmail, Instagram, wherever you want. Ciao!